Hey everyone, welcome back to my crypto world for another episode on the cryptocurrencies and everything related. Today we're going to look at the market cycles again and just see where things are at. It looks actually quite bullish, I must say, which is pretty good news for those who have been waiting a while. We're also going to have a look at two news stories as to why crypto is far from dead. All that right after this. Okay, so let's have a look at where things are at for the market this week. We've had a really bullish week. There's no doubt about it. In fact, we've had a really bullish couple of weeks since the low hit back in June 2022. So we've basically gone through July. We're probably 2 months into from the all-time, not the all-time low, the most recent low, to where we are now in the market space. Now, right now, although the market's looking very strong, we have come up to what I would consider a reasonably major resistance line. So it'll be interesting to see where the market goes over the next 7 to 14 days. As you can see here, we've just approached the $1.15 trillion mark. We're still way off from the $3 trillion mark we hit back in November 21. But we're right up at this purple line here, as you can see on your screen in front of you. Now, back in, let's have a look here, back in January 2021, the market hit this peak and hit this resistance price limit and then fell away from that quite sharply. It then rose again and broke above that and has traded, probably from, where are we, from February 2021 all the way over to June 2022, so 18 months, it's basically traded above that line. So it's a fairly significant price ceiling that we have approached, and really what we need now is some really strong momentum to get us through this period here, to get us up to the next resistance band, which is at 1.48 trillion. So quite a leap away. 300 million is nothing to sneeze at, but we want to see that strength come back into the market and to support the recent rise that we've all seen recently. Now, if you're lucky enough to have got into the market recently, the market from its low has moved up a nice 53%. So again, we're talking about the total market cap here. We're not talking about one specific crypto coin or alternate coin at all. It's the total market cap combined. So that gives us a much better picture of what the shape of the landscape looks like. We are just finished our 30-day cycle. For those that have been following the channel for a while, you can see all these cycles marked out on the screen in front of you. Typically, if you average it all out, the total market cap tends to have a 30 to 31 day cycle. There are some months where it's less than that. Sometimes there's a squashed cycle in of 24 bars or less, but on average it's around about 30 to 31 bars. We've just finished two cycles of 31 bars, 31 days each, and we just finished our last one, which was a 30-day bar, so 30 days in that last cycle, and we have kicked off a new cycle today. Again, if we blow this up and have a look at it, you can see we're just trading underneath this resistance line that I keep talking about. Now, it is going to be really important for us to see a couple of closes above that line to show strength. Look, one close shows a bit of strength, 2 or 3 closes above shows a lot more strength, and I suspect that if we get through this period here, our next major resistance will be at the $1.48 trillion mark. Now, in saying that, it looks really positive, it certainly does. But just remember, there are going to be a lot of people that will take profits out of this at the moment. There'll be a lot of people who got in at the very low and are now looking to capitalize on the gains and to take some money out of the market. So don't be too surprised if the market does do a small turn and come back down for this next cycle before it then continues to head back up. Overall, though, it looks incredibly good. Now let's jump on to a couple of independent coins, so we won't go to the total market cap. So this is Bitcoin as it is at the moment. Now what's interesting with Bitcoin is its next major resistance line is at 28,000 roughly. And we're nowhere near that at the moment. We're still at 24. So for me, Bitcoin still has a long way to go, which gives me a bit more confidence that we are, from a total market cap point of view, that we are going to break through the current resistance line. Now we're sitting nicely at 24,397. You can see the red dotted line on the screen in front of you. That is right on a very small resistance line that happened back in December 2020. So it's interesting to see how much the market pauses, and I would not consider that to be a major resistance line at all, but you can see that it hit that price on the 20th of July. It hit it again on the excuse me, on the 30th of July, so pretty much 30 days later. That'll be a cycle, and we've hit it again now on the 10th of August. So we just have to see and wait and see what happens with that. Sometimes these resistance lines, although they may not be major ones, or you might not consider them to be a major resistance line, they can turn out to be that way, or you might find the market might move sideways for a while before it continues to rise and or go back the other way. Again, time will tell. Now, the big player in the market at the moment is the second biggest coin in the market, and that's Ethereum. As you can see here, Ethereum has absolutely skyrocketed. When we spoke about Ethereum and we did these cycles exactly 7 days ago, we were sitting around about here at the $1,688 mark, and I had mentioned back then that it was a major resistance for this coin because it has used that as a ceiling for so many bounces. It then broke through that, and it's now traded above that, which shows incredible strength. So I think at the moment, and I think probably for the next 6 months at least, Ethereum will probably outperform Bitcoin. It's got a lot more things going on in the marketplace for it, whereas Bitcoin's just sort of being Bitcoin and not doing a great deal. Ethereum, as you would have seen in my last video post about Ethereum, they are looking to do a major upgrade on I think the 19th of September. And we've got a story to cover off about that a little later. But it's looking very, very good for Ethereum holders. Now, if you happen to have bought Ethereum at the top, you're still waiting for your money to come back, unless, of course, you've dollar cost average throughout this downward period, which is something I promote heavily on this channel. If you haven't done that and you're a recent buyer into the crypto space and you've bought near or around near the bottom, you're already up 122% since, where were we at? The 18th of June. So from the 18th of June to the 26th of August, the 14th of August, you are up 123% already. So the market is actually looking very, very strong. A couple of other ones to note, coins to note, is Link, chainlink. So if we just have a look at that, you can see here the orange line was its major resistance or support level that it found. The current line, the dotted red line there you see, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat this morning. The coin just seems to be bouncing along that nicely. We do want to see that bounce above that quite strongly. And for those who have bought Link recently, or since its low, it's actually moved up not too bad, about I think 20% or something, 71%. Sorry, that's right. It was opposite. So 71% up since its recent low. So pretty good, especially again if you're dollar cost averaging in. MEDIT is another one that we just wanted to mention as well. Again, I covered it off last week, but I think it's just important to see where that is at the moment, because I know there are a lot of holders, a lot of people who follow this channel who are MEDIT holders. And as you can see right now, it really hasn't done a great deal since last week. It's kind of moved sideways. We're still at this resistance level of $1, and that was a support level for the coin back in September 2021, and again recently back in April 2022. So we're really just underneath the floor of that, underneath the ceiling of that, sorry. Again, we want to see Polygon MEDIT really make a good breakout above that to show strength and to give us a bit more confidence that the crypto is still going to go up. And again, with all these things, it may go up, it might go down, it might go sideways. My gut feel is we might see a little bit of a pullback in a lot of coins over the near future. Not that that's going to have a long-term effect on your portfolio. It's just simply because what I said before, people like to take profits. And Polygon MEDIT is up 212% since its recent low. So if anyone who has bought in Polygon MEDIT has done really well for themselves. This is Rose, so let's just have a look at that. Now this chart is completely skewed by this rotten red bar that we've got here. So I try to squeeze the try to get that off the screen, not to hide it, but just simply to give us more context on where things are at the moment, because with that on the screen, you just can't tell. It almost looks like a flat line. But Rose has moved up very nicely. It's still sitting well below any resistance level, but it has risen quite well. We've done a couple of flag patterns there. It's making another one at the moment. I suspect it may come back down and hit this point exactly before it moves back off, or it may slip back down, and this would be its next major resistance level. The high there is about 88 cents, 8 or 9 cents. So we're not too far from that at the moment, sitting at around about 9 cents, with a high recently of 11 cents. So again, for those who are into Rose and understand the network and what it's doing, pretty good investment if you got in recently. Now, everyone knows Theta is my favorite crypto, my alternate crypto. I think the project has got a long way to go and a massive future ahead of it. Recently though, tfuel has actually broken out above its resistance levels that it's been trading under for the last several months, since May 2022. It hasn't broken above them strongly, but it has reached and breached the previous resistance level there, which shows a bit of strength. Again, I'm very bullish on Theta, tfuel and T-drop. I just don't know if the timing's quite right for that to get back up to where it was and to its next support level, which is at 12 cents. It's currently trading at 7 cents, but time will tell there as well. Again, with all of these coins, this is not personal or professional advice. It's just what I do and what I look at in the market. Again, I'm dollar cost averaging into many of these coins on a weekly or a fortnightly basis as much as I can. Let's have a look at the mother coin now, which is Theta. Again, we've broken through this channel trade that we're having here. This has lasted since May 2022. It's just moved sideways the whole way along it, and we've only just breached the top of that at the moment. So again, I don't know if the breach shows enough strength to show that it's going to continue to go up. It may actually just form and move sideways on that for a little while at the moment before it does make a breakout to the north. Now let's have a quick look at some news articles. As I said in my intro, that the cryptocurrency market, you look at all the FUD that's out there, you look at all the media, you do some research, and you sort of wonder, really, is this market over or not? I can tell you it is far from over, that's for sure. So this is the first article here, and it says Arthur Hayes expects 5,000 Ethereum by March 2023. Now, Arthur Hayes is the CEO of BitMEX, and former CEO of BitMEX actually, but quite an interesting character. He's got a very good eye and insight into what's going on in the crypto space. I certainly read a lot of articles or posts that he puts out on his blog and obviously on Twitter as well. But he goes on to say that Ethereum will likely yield a greater return than Bitcoin throughout the remainder of 2022. Fed pivot would likely have the bullish effect on all asset prices. The merge represents an Ethereum-specific event that, in his view, will have an incredibly powerful impact on the price of Ethereum. Now, the merge obviously is talking about the merge of the new fork that Ethereum are going to go ahead and do. The merge is a long-awaited Ethereum upgrade that will transition the network's consensus mechanism from proof of work to proof of stake. That means Ethereum miners will be rendered obsolete, while holders of the cryptocurrency will be able to earn yield by staking their holdings. While the primary goal of an upgrade is to increase Ethereum's energy and efficiency, it's also expected to reduce Ethereum's supply issue rate by 90%, combined with a growing ecosystem of users constantly burning Ethereum through transaction fees, which you've heard me harp on this channel before. Ethereum, buying things or purchasing things in Ethereum is incredibly expensive and really super slow, so this will speed the whole entire network up. Hayes believes the upgrade itself will drive the price of Ethereum up exponentially. The merge has suffered delays due to technical complications for years, but developers are now confident that it will occur by September the 19th, so just over a month away. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you, I do not think it will happen on September the 19th. I think it will happen this year, but my gut feel is that just knowing how IT works, and the problem with IT projects is they take twice as long as what you ever envisage for them to be completed, and they tend to cost 4 or 5 times as much as well. So we'll see. Look, if it happens on September the 19th, that's great. I'm certainly not holding my breath over it. I will continue to hold Ethereum. But I think regardless if it happens on September the 19th or later in the year, it's a very positive move for Ethereum. So, Arthur Hayes has certainly got his nose in the market a lot and understands it a lot. So for me, that's a very good news article that gives a bit of context to what's happening there. Now, finally, I spoke last week about how blockchain technology is changing the landscape and will probably change the landscape for many things, but more importantly, for property assets. Buying and selling property and how those can be stored on the digital asset can be stored on the ledger that is on the blockchain network. This article came out a couple of days after I released my video on the Daily Hodl, and it just talks about how blockchain and smart contract development can help businesses. So this is really important. The article is quite long. I'll link the URL in the description below if you want to read the entire thing. I've kind of summarized it a bit because a lot of it, I'll be perfectly honest with you, won't make sense to people who don't run their own businesses. And most people who are investing in cryptocurrency are what we call a mum and dad investor. You go to work, you do your job, and you grab whatever money you can, and you go to invest into cryptos or stocks or property and things like that. So I've tried to highlight the things that make sense in this article, and even to me, some of them don't make sense. So here's what I've come up with. The article goes on to say that there are several architectures that exist for blockchain application development, distribution, and management of smart contracts. For instance, you can link a smart contract to different payment systems or digital exchanges, or it can be kept on the blockchain or a shared ledger. Which means if you go and buy something, instead of getting a paper receipt from a supermarket, you can have your receipt digitally. Once you've paid on your credit card, you might have access to that, and it's stored on the blockchain rather than with your bank. So you actually still own the transaction, even though the bank will provide you a statement. Trying to get statements from, say, 5 or 10 years ago is almost impossible. But if you own that ledger, you can record that piece of paper and recall it anytime you like. According to a report, the global smart contract marketplace is projected to reach 1,460 million, which is 1.4 billion, by 2028. It's currently at 315 million, it was 315 million in 2021, at a compounded growth rate of 24% during the forecast period. So from 2022, which is now, all the way to 2028, they're forecasting an annual growth of 24.2%. Now, you tell me any industry that's going to grow by that much consistently, that is big boom times for blockchain development for sure, and userability from the end users, of course. Now, here's a number of things that you can do. Multi-signature accounts. Now, this is already happening in Australia. I don't know if it's happening around the world at all, but today, if you go out and buy a property and you're a co-signer or you're doing it with your partner, you can now individually sign contracts. The application that they use for that merges those documents together, so your signatures appear on each of the paper, each bit of paper. So I can be in my office and digitally sign a copy. My wife can be in her office or in another country for all we care, and digitally sign the same copy of the same contract, and then the file or the system will merge those articles and signatures onto one page. So it's happening at the moment. It's just not stored on the blockchain. So as I said, multi-signature accounts, funds are transferred from the primary account only if members approve it. Multi-sign contracts are the best solution for sharing ownership, as it provides distributed control over the funds. The multi-signature contracts also prevent single points of failure, as every sensitive transaction requires approval from a certain number of parties. So I couldn't go off and sign a contract without my wife knowing about it, or change the contract without my wife knowing about it, or business partners or whoever it might be that you're doing business with. Everyone gets notified of every change that happens, so you can't just go and do something sneaky, but more importantly, something sneaky can't be done to you. So that's pretty important. Storage. Smart contracts can store hefty information and maintain their own permanent storage. The data stored on the blockchain, such as Ethereum, is unique, immutable, and cannot be changed, which is what we just spoke about it. If you do change it, you get notified. You can use them to keep track records, renew them, and release them automatically as per the set parameters that you agree with. Encoding financial obligations. The encoding of financial obligations is mainly performed for managing the user agreements. For instance, providers can encode redemption rules to the smart contract if a person wants insurance. Now, the same thing can be applied, this article doesn't talk about it, but really it can be applied to payment systems as well. So if you have a contract that you want to release payments to a certain party, you can do that on the blockchain. Ultimately, at the moment, it's done through fiat payments, but I believe that in the near future, you'll be doing this through a token of choice rather than just the dollar in your country. End-to-end security, we've spoken about this before, but the article does go on to say that smart contracts are stored in an immutable and irreversible distributed ledger, which means that distributed ledger means that there is more than one copy of that transaction. In fact, on the networks, if you were to do this on a Theta network, there'd basically be 187,000, because there's 187,000 nodes at the moment, that could record that information for you. So if one node went down or one part of the network went down, there'd still be a hell of a lot left for you to be able to recall that data from. So smart contracts are stored in an immutable and reversible distributed ledger, providing an extra layer of security. Smart contracts development providers can also help you with incorporate and additional security features, such as multi-factor authentication, which we already have, and data encryption. Also, no one can control the other participants' funds as each transaction is validated after a consensus is achieved. So pretty important. Again, you can't steal from Peter to PayPal or anything like that. It's all very secure. And if you do work out how to do that, everyone on that contract would be notified of the change. Higher trust and transparency is the last thing I've highlighted here. Smart contracts are based on blockchain technology that offers complete transparency of all transactions. Parties are involved can view its terms and conditions along with the transaction history. It helps build trust and better relationships with existing or new customers and partners. So, two pretty powerful articles to explain and help you understand that while the market overall is still down from its all-time high of 3 trillion, the market is far from over. There is so much development happening in this space that, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, this really is more than a $1 trillion industry. My gut is that we should be at around about the $10 trillion mark. That will happen over time, of course. It all takes time. The important thing is to stay strong, hold your position if you're a long-term investor like I am. If you're somebody who's a trader and you've been in and out of the market for a while, over the last couple of months you've made fantastic money, which is really good if you were smart about it and you knew how to get in and you knew what swing trading was. So that's it for this week's articles. I trust you'll have an awesome remainder of the week. We will go on and see you in a couple of days' time. We will cover off a couple of news stories as well before we head into the end of the week. Until we see you at the next one, take care of yourselves and each other. Cheers.